SpongicX here with episode 3 of my Nick Clunkin Trio artwork video. So here we got a picture of Nick creating a flame in a dark area. So I don't know what I was thinking when I made this one, but so here we got Clunk face to face with what looks like a monster cardinal. I have no idea what I was thinking when I made this one. We got Trila making a ball of electricity, and so the background on this one is kind of weird, and if I recall when I was making this, it was shortly after the remake of the HD remaster of The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, and I loved how in the realm of Twilight, how all these glowing carvings in the wall, and that was kind of my inspiration for this right here. So here we got a picture of Fear the Fox firing a laser, and so the laser, if you look closely, kind of resembles his head. You can kind of see like the spiky hair and the ears, and even the side hair. And here we got Nick fighting Slits the Weasel in a bluish-looking cave area. So we got Trila. She's ready to fight, and she's sitting on top of a dock in front of a pond. We got Trila looking over her shoulder, kind of reminiscing about something, I guess. Got Nick and Clunk looking like they're ready to fight in the forest. Got Nick looking like he's concocting some kind of plan. And so this one was taken in a town called West Point in Iowa, and it was around the time when they have something called the Sweet Corn Festival. And so I took some pictures and I decided to use them as backgrounds for some images. And so here's one where a giant shadow creature is lurking from behind a building, and Nick looks freaked out. And here we got one of Nick and Trila walking down the street. And this one was taken at night. Just looks like Clunk is dancing in front of a building, and Trila's like just looking at Nick like, what the heck is he doing? So here we can see Nick fighting some kind of monster, and in the background you can see like one of those egg roll Ferris wheels. And I don't know how I came up with this monster design, but the fact that it's just a hand with eyeballs, I don't know why I thought that looked really cool. So here, this is Clunk with his redesign. This is his current design, and I mentioned in episode 2 how originally he had bigger, longer hair, and over time I wanted to kind of give it a redesign so it's not as hard to draw, and so I gave him a haircut, and so this is his modern design. And so this one is an action shot of Nick running into action. There's a bit of a motion blur in the background, and so the fun fact on how I made this picture was I was at what was called the Watermelon Festival. It was in a place called Montrose, in Iowa, and so I was on this like spinning ride where you're on these seats that look like hang gliders. So you're laying on your belly and you got like these fake little gliders above the ride, and so you soar up and down in circles on it. And so I pulled out my phone while on the ride, and I did a little video recording, and I didn't get very good shots though because everything came out too blurry. But I thought like the look on the ground looked really cool. How it had like all these motion blur lines, and so that's what I used for this background here. I just used a still frame of a motion blur over the grass, and I thought it made for a really cool action shot. Makes it look like Nick's running really fast. So this was a picture I made at my previous apartment. So I just had like one source of light on, and it just gave like this little dim glow, and I just thought it made a really cool background, so I just wanted to draw a picture to make it look like Nick is sneaking around at night or something. And so here's a picture I took the day after a storm. It was at a little park here in Fort Madison, Iowa, and I made it look like the tree collapsed and it fell on Nick and Clunk in some form, or you could say maybe they were climbing on the tree and it fell over, and Tree was just staring in shock. And overall, I really like how this one turned out, and I especially love Clunk down here under the branch. So obviously I had to do a little bit of layer masking. Well, not necessarily layer masking, but I basically copied and pasted a little bit of the branch and pasted it over the layer of Clunk on the ground, and I think it turned out pretty good looking though. One thing that's real important to remember is when you're photo editing and you're trying to make like if you're blending live action, if you have like a branch or some kind of object clipping over a character, you got to make sure that underneath you got to add a little bit of a shadow to make it look like the shadow of the object is actually casting against them. That's a real important detail, otherwise it really makes an image look fake. So here's a goofy little picture of Nick, Clunk, and Trila. It's like they're crammed inside of a box or something, like they're trying to hide and the plan requires them to hide inside of a box or something, and so they're just uncomfortably crammed in. And so this is another picture I took in real life. I think I took this in Burlington, Iowa. Some kind of family fun center called Fun City. It's basically a giant arcade entertainment center. And so around the parking lot, I just made a picture where it looked like Clunk banged into a pole and Nick is face palming while Trila looks embarrassed and kind of like she's holding back, like, ouch, that's gotta hurt. And so just more pictures of the characters hanging around in Fun City. So here we got Nick going through a revolving door, Clunk just kind of chilling out. And so here's a random Halloween picture where Nick created a jack-o'-lantern and he ignites it with his flame powers. Back to Fun City, Nick checking out an arcade machine. In the past, I've had some people say that Nick looked a lot like Conker or Sandy from SpongeBob. And so I drew this picture to try to have a joke and point out how I don't really think they look that similar at all. I mean, yeah, they're all squirrels, but I do think there are differences between them that have them stand out. And admittedly, though, I probably should have used a reference. I tried drawing Sandy through memory. I didn't bother pulling up a picture reference. And so because of it, Sandy looks very off-model here. There's something about her body where it just looks too blocky and short. She just doesn't have the same height proportions as she does in the show. Otherwise, I think I got pretty close when it comes to the color scheme, though. I think I chose very similar colors. I think I got the nose wrong, though, because I don't know why I gave it a dark pink outline where it should be a black outline, but I was trying to remember in memory because I knew, like, looking at a lot of episodes of SpongeBob, you notice how the characters usually have colored outlines instead of pure black outlines. The only black outlines they ever use are for, like, usually white objects like the eyeballs or the teeth. But when it comes to, like, the head or the body, like Patrick, he has a thick pink outline. SpongeBob, he has a green outline. And then Sandy, she has usually a dark brown outline. And so I feel like I got that part pretty close. But so Conqueror, I used his Live and Reloaded design. I made him look a little too puffy, I think, but I was just trying to make him look fuzzy. But here's Trila sitting, Nick sitting, Clunk running from some kind of dragon. So back at Fun City, they're leaving like some kind of movie attraction, and so it makes it look like they're chasing a monster through like a movie theater or something. They're wondering where it went, and then Trila's pointing off to the side like, there it is. So here we got Nick, Clunk, and Trila adventuring off into some kind of field. Trila doing a pose as she shoots out her electric powers. Nick trying to X move, but he's kind of like hyperventilating, I guess, and Trila looks confused. A group shot of Nick, Clunk, and Trila along with Beth. I made this around the holiday season. I think I made this around New Year's. I took like a picture from a video I recorded of 4th of July fireworks, and I used that as the background. So we see Nick asking Trila to dance, and they're all dressed up. So, weird picture of Nick and Trila walking through a really weirdly lit night, I guess. And so I made this around the time Mario Tennis Aces came out for Nintendo Switch. It encouraged me to want to draw the characters playing tennis. And so here we got Trila playing tennis, and she sets the ball with electricity. And the only nitpick I have with this picture is I stupidly forgot to draw the cushiony handle for the tennis racket. So it makes it look like she's wielding an unfinished tennis racket. Here we got Nick, and he's got like a fiery-looking tennis racket. And again, I remember to give him a handle this time. So I didn't bother going too fancy with the flame effect, though, because normally I like to add like a glowing blur effect on the flames I drew. But for some reason, I didn't bother doing it this time, so it makes the flames look really flat. So here I got Clunk. He's splashing the ball with his water powers. I feel like I could have done a much better job there. The water effect looks really weak. No, there's some days where I just feel like putting a lot of time to the art I make, and then there's some days where I just want to get it over with and I rush it and not proud of it. But then here we even have Beth playing, and she's creating like a big warping portal behind it. It almost makes it look like she's waving like a giant bubble wand or something. And so I was kind of inspired by The Sorcerer's Apprentice for this one, like the part where Mickey was like sneaking through the halls as the sorcerer went to bed, and so I kind of used that as inspiration. But I tried making it look like Nick is sneaking through a lair, and he sees the shadow of Slits the Weasel in the distance, and so Nick starts looking concerned. I think it turned out pretty okay for something that was made without a reference. But so here we got Nick holding Trila. Here's like one where it looks like Nick slid in sideways with a flame trail beside him. So here they're in like a desert setting, and it looks like Trila caught Nick trying to do something, so she grabs him and pulls him in by his vest before he walks away. Here we got Clunk running through a blizzard, Beth running. Here we got Nick giving Trila a thumbs up. I almost think this picture looks good, but I think I really messed up with Nick's thumb there. It looks really messed up. It looks too long and stiff. I don't think it's pointing the way it should be. It should look more curved. Like, again, I am terrible at drawing limbs and stuff like that. I'm terrible at drawing body parts. And so here we got Trila relaxing on a beach. I feel like I might have used a little bit too much of a shine here. She looks way too shiny. Maybe she put some kind of suntan lotion on her fur. I don't know. But so here's a random picture where Slits captured Clunk and tied him up during a stormy night or something. I don't know. In part 2, I mentioned how I originally had the concepts for the shadow doppelgangers for Nick, Clunk, and Trila. I had like a second design for them where they looked more shadowy instead of just looking like more evil versions of them. I had ones where they're just pitch black versions of them with glowing yellow eyes. So here we have Trila facing off against Dark Trila in front of a fiery background, and so here's the shadow Nick. For some reason I gave him a much pointier nose. I kind of like the tail I gave him, though. I gave him a very, looks very Tim Burton-esque with how curly and jagged it is. Here's a weird picture where Nick looks sad and Trila's trying to snap him out of it, and I don't know what I was doing with the backgrounds. They just look so polygonic. It almost looks like, for some reason, I'm thinking it looks like Jellyfish Fields from SpongeBob if it was in a really bad PS1 game or something. But so here we got Clunk fighting off evil Shadow Clunk. This is a picture I actually really like. I once had this as like the wallpaper for my cell phone. So this is just a good group shot of like Clunk staying in the center, and we see Trila and Nick kind of falling from a landing, basically. Yeah, I just think it's a good group shot of the three. So here's a picture of Clunk and Beth as they're surrounded by spooky darksins and like some that look like spiders and creepy insects. So yeah, just a pretty spooky looking shot. I think I made this one around Halloween time. So here we got one of Trila jump kicking what appears to be a dragon. Another one of Trila shooting out electricity. And so around this time, this is more of Trila's final design, where she has the white tank top and the black shorts. So originally I had her wearing a longer tank top, but over time I kind of shortened it a little bit to where she has a little bit of a midriff. Not too revealing though, but so here's another picture of her in her modern design. I still don't know what kind of design I should make for Fear. Originally I wanted him to look just like a mad scientist where he's wearing like a white lab coat, and over time I just thought it made him look stupid. So I tried experimenting and giving him a more unique threatening looking design, so I tried giving him a more darker outfit, and I don't quite think this is a design I want him to have. I don't really like the poofy sleeves I gave him, but I kind of like the color scheme though. I think he looks better wearing like a dark gray or a black outfit compared to a white robe or lab coat, you know. But so here I just want to kind of make it look like Nick and Clunk were walking into a room or some kind of building, and you see like these glaring lights blaring through the window and door. So here, Nick freaking out and Trila face palming. So here's an interesting one where it kind of looks like Clunk is surrounded in some kind of dreamlike state, and you can see a few snowflakes flying around. So I made this one around Easter time. So we see how Trila is passing around all these little bunny ears for everyone to wear. And so Clunk offers Beth to wear one, but then she's pointing out how she already has rabbit ears. And so this is a follow-up from, in part 2, I mentioned how I made a Mother's Day gift card where I actually gave it to my mom in real life, where, Nick, he was going to offer his mom flowers, but his fire powers accidentally kicked in, they burnt them. And so this is a follow-up where he says, look, I didn't accidentally burn your flowers this year. Once again, my mom liked that. She appreciated it. So here's a picture of Trila, like, kneeling down on the ground, like her ears hurt. Here's Nick offering to dance with Trila. So here's kind of like an action shot of, like, let's just say some kind of evil monster is off screen. And so Clunk uses his water powers to rise off of the ground, like he's ready to fight, and he's about to protect Beth. And so here we got Scorpion attacking Nick as he's grabbing onto something, hanging off a ledge. We got Nick and Trila as if they're falling. And so this was actually a still frame from, I'm not sure if I still have it on YouTube, but I know I made a little test animation where it's really short though, but it had where Trila, it's like she's skidding backwards and then she does like a quick turn around and then she does a quick kick towards the screen. So it's just it just looks like something straight from an action scene. Again, it was just way too short, and I didn't plan on using it for anything. It was just kind of the test out, trying to make an action scene. The line work looks really messy. I think some of the poses look pretty good, especially since I didn't have any references to work off of, but it just goes by so quickly that no one will even notice it. Here we got Nick falling once again. So here, I was kind of trying to make it look like Trila's like surfing or grinding on something. So it's just kind of a dramatic back view pose. Trila like down on the ground and she's kicking off slits. Here it looks like Trila was hurt and she's down on the ground and Nick looks really concerned. You see like blasts of electricity shooting out in the background. Looks a little too pixelated and blurry, unfortunately. Got Clunk sneaking through some kind of dark looking area. So we got Nick using his fire powers in front of a fiery background. Got Trila, and she's doing some kind of weird hand signal, like she's giving some kind of signal for an attack plan or something. I don't know, I was trying to just be a little abstract with the background, so I just used like a simple triangular pattern. Just trying something different. And then Clunk swimming underwater. I think the picture of Clunk is fine, but I think I did a terrible job with. I was trying to make like reflective white. I was trying to make reflective light ripples, and I just think they look too blurry and bad. I did not do a good job with those. And so this is a picture I want to like, but I think it looks bad the more I look at it. So I was trying to make like a real beautiful picture where it looks like they're in some kind of forest and they're reaching up to a ray of light. Like one thing I love is, you know, you see certain anime and how a lot of anime, they really know how to make like really good glaring light effects. Like when it's a bright and sunny day and there's like a real powerful action scene, like the way the light would like reflect off of the corner of the screen. I always love those kind of shots, and so I was trying to replicate that, and the problem is I didn't know how to properly make one, and so I just kept using a lot of transparent layers and kept trying to make like all these different lines, and so it just looks really out of proportion because you can tell the light is coming from behind them, where I'm trying to make it look like it's in front of them and above their head. And so, yeah, I did not do a good job. I think originally I had the light in front of them. The problem was I couldn't figure out how to have it reflect off the characters very well because it just looked like it just looked more like a bright light stain was like covering the picture. It didn't actually look like real light was in front of these characters, so I just gave up and just had the light in the background, and it just looks really bad. I kind of like the background though. I tried using kind of like a little charcoal brush to make the grass and stuff like that, or the bushes in the background. So the bushes could have been a little better, but I at least like how the grass turned out. Again, when I made this picture at the time, I thought it looked good, but looking back on it, it looks really bad. So here we got a picture of Clunk and Beth. They seem to be in a dark place, but they're laughing as if like they survived some kind of deadly threat or something, and they're just laughing because they're happy to be alive. So here's a picture of Clunk looking all chipper and ready to tackle whatever's next. And so here we got, like, I kind of made this around like a Halloween setting, and so Nick and Trila, they're just walking through like some kind of shed or something, and something spooked them, so they hold on to each other and scream. And so here's a picture where Nick is in some kind of dark room, and he approaches a picnic table and is shocked to see Fear the Fox is there, as if he's like ready to ambush them or something. I don't know what is wrong with this background here, but you can notice like how I must have used some kind of like stamp brush tool to make like the texture, but you can definitely see some little artifacts here. It just looks really off. I don't know why I used such a thick outline for these background objects. It just looks really distracting. So in my head, this picture looked really cool, but final results, it looks pretty bad. Here's a picture I really like. So here we got Nick kissing Trila again, in what looks like some kind of sunset-like background. And yeah, I like how this one turned out. I want to point out how by this time, I kind of abandoned Nick's original pant design. Originally, he wore blue jeans with like a really weird belt. The belt buckle was like a weird oval shape belt. Well, it had like a gold trim with like a red gem in the center. And I don't know, I kind of got tired of drawing that belt every time, so I just gave him sweatpants. Because in real life, I usually wear sweatpants, and I just thought, okay, I'll just have him wear sweatpants. And some of the ones I had back in high school, they had like white stripes on the side, and so nowadays, I usually have them wear sweatpants, but I don't necessarily have the stripes on the side because I'm just not good at drawing things in proportion, and so I just give him black pants. And nowadays, he doesn't even have the blue vest he used to have. I just decided to give him, like, sometimes he'll be wearing, like, a blue sweater or something. Not necessarily, not a sweater, but a jacket, more like. Then here's another picture of the trio. And so I definitely got carried away with trying to use, like, filter effects here. I tried using effects to give things a more glossy appearance. And so the background, it kind of looks really glassy. I was trying to make it look like a smoky, like just a smoky, ghostly kind of background, but it just looks more like frosted glass. But I still think it looks unique though. And then the stairs, I use like one of those crack matte filters that Photoshop had, and I tried using like all these little gloss tools to make everything look shiny. And it definitely looks flawed. Like, it definitely looks like some kind of CG render from an old 90s film or something. But I still think it looks kind of cool. So here's a group shot of the characters fighting off another Dark Sin monster. And so I made this one in anticipation for the release of Disney+. So I was looking forward to watching Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers because I never really grew up with that show. But over time, I saw some clips of it, and it made me realize, like, I really missed out on this show. I need to watch it sometime. And so when I heard it was going to be on Disney+, I decided I'd watch that. And for laughs, I drew the characters dressed up as the characters from the show. So we got Clunk as Dale, Nick as Chip, and then Trila as Gadget. And because I never draw the male characters pantsless, I had to keep their pants on. Because Chip and Dale, they were pantsless characters, but I didn't want to draw Nick and Clunk without their pants. So that's the only part of their clothes that they kept on. And so here we got Trila jumping in the air, and she's like lighting up her feet with her lightning powers, and she's just rapidly kicking Slits and Fear. If I recall, I made this picture because there's a scene in Space Jam when after a lull, it was called Doll by one of the monsters. She jumped up and started rapidly kicking him in the face, and that was kind of the inspiration for that picture here. So here, I think this was also taken at Fun City, and so I tried to make it look like Trila dropped and broke something, and then the boys just look at her like, "What did you do?" So here we got Trila confronting Slits over something. Nick and Clunk having some kind of idea in some kind of cornfield, and I don't know why I made the outline so thick here. So here we got Nick and Trila holding hands with some kind of fiery explosion going on in the background. Here we got Nick and Clunk walking through some kind of forest at night. Nick looking angry while Trila looks alarmed. Looks like they're in front of some kind of rocky cave. I think for this one, I was kind of inspired by, like, the opening of Aladdin, like when Jafar approaches the Cave of Wonders, and I kind of loved how, it's like a dark desert setting, but you got, like, this glowing light emitting in the background, and so that's what I was kind of trying to duplicate here. I didn't even have a picture reference, so I was trying to recreate it by memory. So here I just got kind of like this over-the-top view of Slits, like, looming over Nick and Trila, and Trila looks like she's nervously laughing and ready to run while she's trying to drag a stunned Nick with her. Here we got Nick and Trila looking freaked out over something. We got like this weird circusy looking background. So here we got Clunk looking like he is trying to run away from something, then Trila grabs him by the backpack and pulls him in. Yeah, for the background here, I actually use like a brush tool from Photoshop to create like realistic cobble-looking ground, and so I use that to make kind of like a cobble-looking wall effect. I think it looks pretty good, actually. So here, it looks like Nick and Trila getting impatient. They're in some kind of cave. So here, Trila is like leaning Nick towards her, and she's asking him for a favor. So here we got Nick, Clunk, and Trila. So Clunk's trying to think of something, and Nick is just getting impatient, and Trila just looks annoyed. So here we got the trio fighting off another Darkson monster. I like how Nick and Trila look so into it, and then Clunk's just staying off to the side like, what the heck? So I really like the design I did for this Darkson here. I don't, a lot of these creatures, I don't even have names for them. I just want to draw something spooky, and so here it's just some big shadow dragon-looking creature, and it has like a skull for a mask, and it looks like part of its body is made of bones as well. And yeah, I just think it looks creepy and cool. This might be one of my favorite pictures I drew of Nick and Trila. This is actually my wallpaper for my phone right now, and on one half we see like a flaming effect, on the other half we see these lightning bolts. So it's just them jumping in the air and doing like some kind of superhero pose, like they're ready to fight. I really like how this one turned out. So here's like a nighttime picture during a starry night. So it looks like Nick is using his flame powers to do some kind of glowing trick. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe he has like some kind of piece of glass in his hand, and so he's lighting it up with his fire powers to create all these light effects. And kind of inspired by, like scenes of like a character catching fireflies in their hands, and you see it glowing out of them, or something kind of like that. So here we got the trio walking through a dark forest. So around this time, I saw like a really cool grass tool in Photoshop, and I just want to mess around with it. And it makes drawing grass so much easier when making art instead of having to draw all the individual strands. Another picture of Nick and Trila I really like. It looks like they're in a pretty tough fight, and Nick is trying to like encourage Trila to get out of there, but Trila still wants to put up a fight. So here, just a funny idea of Trila trying to bake cookies, but she accidentally burnt them, and so Nick tries one, and he doesn't want to hurt her feelings. That's bad. It's like Trila knows it's bad, but she's sad to see Nick still trying to eat it anyways, just to make her happy. So, yeah, I mentioned how later I wanted Nick to start wearing like a jacket instead of a vest, and so this is one design of him trying to wear a jacket. And so I tried having like his little strands of fur on his chest stick out, but I decided, that looks kind of weird. And so in later uses of him wearing a jacket, I have it fully closed up so you don't see the fur sticking out of him. So here's another freaky monster design. Kind of weird how it has like two devil tails, but so it's just hovering over. It looks like it attacked Nick, and Trila's defending him. So here's a cute picture of Nick laying on the ground, and Trila kind of leapfrogs over him. So here's a picture of Trila hugging Nick in front of some kind of watery background. Kind of like to imagine they're probably in a cave or something. So here's a picture of the characters in what looks like some kind of dungeon setting, and they're trying to think of a way to escape, maybe. So here's a picture of like the trio falling, and Nick uses his fire powers to create thrusters at the bottom of his feet, and so he's using that to try to fly his friends to safety. So here's Nick and Trila hugging under some kind of light. Nick and Trila falling asleep on a couch. Here's Clunk and Beth on a beach. Overall, I like the picture, but I think I made the background way too blurry. So this was from a scrap pitch for episode 8. There's a really stupid like melodrama between Nick and Trila during this, and it's just the part where Trila's just kind of sitting down pouting, and then Clunk tries cheering her up. He thinks a good way to cheer her up would be to create rain with his water powers and make a joke on how just make a joke about it, but then he realized, okay, maybe that was a bad idea. But later on, though, in that same episode, Nick and Trila get over like a little misunderstanding they had, and so they're about to go on like a live TV broadcast, and so Trila was forced to wear a dress for the event, and she's embarrassed and she thinks she looks silly in it, but Nick nervously tells her that he thinks she looks great in there, and she's flattered by it. So again, just because I scrapped a lot of these episodes, it doesn't mean that there aren't parts of it I actually liked, though. I still think there were some drawings in there that I still want to keep around, but yeah, a lot of these episodes I'm just not proud of, unfortunately. And so this was a fan request on DeviantArt. Someone wanted me to draw Trila with Barry from Conker's Bad Fur Day, and they wanted Trila and Barry to look dressed up like they're going out for a girls' night. And so I thought Trila's kind of a bit of a tomboy, although in later episodes of the show I had it where she confesses that she secretly likes dresses. She just doesn't like to admit it. And so here, but here I had Trila. She looks all dolled up, wearing lipstick and a dress and high heels, and she just looks really annoyed by it. And Barry's assuring her that she looks great. And so this one I made in 2020 for obvious reasons. And it's sad how, no, everything is not back to normal yet over 4 years later. Yeah, we got Nick and Trila wearing face masks, and meanwhile we got Clunk wearing a gas mask, and so this is the redesign for the villain character, Giggle the Seagull. So originally I had him kind of looking more like a chicken, despite how he's supposed to be a seagull. And so in this redesign, I kind of gave him more of a thicker head and neck to kind of make him have the more goofier head and neck design that an actual seagull has. Since seagulls usually have some black feathers on them, I thought it'd be fun to give his hands black feathers to kind of make it look like he's wearing gloves. But no, those aren't gloves. Those are just the black tips of his feathers. So I know not everyone liked this redesign, but I just stuck with it though. I just thought it makes him look more like a seagull, so I decided to go with it. That and he's a crazed bird, so I just thought like the spread out eyes just made him look even funnier, more absent-minded. This was from one of the scrapped episodes. There's a part where, like, Trila criticized Clunk's hair for getting too long, and he says, well, what about you? Remember what happened the other day? And then, so the wind got real strong, and it blew Trila's hair all over her face, and so she's then brushing it off, like, yeah, I got hair on my tongue, yeah. This was from the episode where I was supposed to introduce Giggle the Seagull. So this was, by this point, I used his redesign, because originally this was a black and white comic, and it used his original design, but then when I remade it in color, I gave him the finalized design. So here he created some kind of cloning machine, but it failed, and then he's hearing stuff in the outside, and he sees Trila, and he realizes she has electric powers, and so he wants to use her as a living battery for his invention. And so here we got, from that same episode, Trila using her lightning powers to fight off like a squid monster. And so this was one I kind of made at request of my friend Steph, who was the voice of Trila during the episodes I made. She wanted a picture where Trila lures Nick in with her tail, kind of like pulling him in, and so I made this little image of Trila wrapping her tail around Nick, and obviously a Halloween picture. We got Clunk as a mummy, Nick as a vampire, and Trila as a witch. I don't know what I did with her hands there, but she must be wearing some kind of fake prosthetics to give her like the witch-like fingers, but I still think it looks like a pretty good picture overall. And so back to the episode that introduced Giggle. This was the part right before Giggle kidnaps Trila. He sucks her up in some kind of canister, and it absorbs like her electricity and traps her into it. So then he dispenses her and traps her into a glass dome, and so he's constantly trying to threaten her to use her electricity to power up his device, and Trila's just trolling him throughout, just messing with him and annoying him, and contacting her friends through her phone to try to help get her out. I really did have a lot of fun making the facial expressions for Giggle. Like, as bad as I thought a lot of my art was getting, I will admit, though, that this was the last episode I made in color, and I actually do think that this is one of the better-looking episodes. It had some of the best line work that I did out of some of my shorts. It had some of the funnier facial expressions, and so this was a picture I made for my friend Steph on her birthday, because not only did she voice Trila, but she also voiced Meglyph from, I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but there was a Newgrounds series called IMP, made by Roger Vanderweed, who made he made a lot of funny Sonic the Hedgehog parodies in the past, like Sonic but in a few minutes or something like that. He made like all these wacky parodies. They were just rapid, fast, and so Steph, she voiced Meglyph in that, and she's also voiced like Amy or Blaze and Tails in a few of those shorts. Heck, some of those shorts even made it into the Sonic Shorts volume compilations. So here we got this picture of Trila and Meglyph jumping in the air celebrating, and I remember Luke Hooley, who was the voice of Tallow, he made a joke on, wow, I've never seen Megalith so happy. And so at the time when I made this, I never realized, like, oh yeah, if you watch the episodes, Megalith never smiles. So it is kind of out of character, but Steph appreciated it anyways. Just two of the characters she voiced celebrating her birthday. And so here we got Gig. He's trying to ambush Nick. So at this point in the episode, Trila was able to contact Nick, and she was warning him that he's going to ambush them when he enters the building. And so Nick came prepared, and so right when the door opens, Nick just uses his fire powers to roast Giggle, and then they get into a wacky fight. And so yeah, if I ever rebooted Nick, Clunk, and Trila, I definitely plan on recreating this episode. There is a lot of stuff I'd have to rewrite, though, to try change the continuity of Gig's backstory. Because, like I said in a previous episode, he originally was presented to be a failed experiment of what used to be a seagull, and I kind of want to scrap that idea. I think it'd be funnier for him to just be a mad scientist and not have some kind of tragic backstory. But so, yeah, and then Trila's trolling him when she confesses, yeah, I lied. So there's a pretty dark joke I had where Gig pulls out a lance and he says he's going to use it to skewer Nick, and then he says, I call it my ambulance. And then Nick says, why do you call it the ambulance? And then he says, because it's what people shout for whenever I use it. And then Nick just has a long awkward pause and he shouts, what the hell is wrong with you? So here we got Clunk trying to break Trila out of the glass dome. And then at the very end of the episode, Trila gives this pouty face because she wants to take Nick out to dinner, but he had a promise that he would never ask her for money, but Trila doesn't care about that promise. She just wants to, thank him for helping her. And so here she's trying to give a pouty face until Nick gives in and finally lets her take him out to eat, basically. And then the final shot of the episode is Trila hugging Nick because he finally gave in. And overall, I think the picture looks good, but my biggest complaint is I made Trila's arms way too bulky. It just looks so off-putting. From a distance, it doesn't look so bad, but then you look at it close up, it's oh, that arm is distracting. Again, I am terrible at proportions. So this almost looks like Nick was inserted into some kind of old RPG or something. Just in this weird desert background. There's some kind of dark sun he's facing against. Once again, we got Nick and Trila in some kind of field. And so in some of the later drawings I did of Nick, Clunk, and Trila, I tried experimenting by, I wanted to try to make their noses look a little longer, when they're looking from the side. And I don't know if I should stick with this or not, but it just looks kind of strange, because you look at them in the front and you don't necessarily see, that long brown strand of fur between their eyes and nose, so I just don't know if it looks right. So here's a cute little picture I made during the holiday season a few years back. So here we got Clunk and Beth kissing on a snowy day, and so yeah, I did have a lot of fun making this one. It was pretty time consuming though, because of all the snow I drew on the characters, because I didn't just want to draw snowflakes, but I actually want to make it look like actual snowflakes were breaking off as it landed on them, so you'll see little bits of powder on them. So not too realistic, but still some effort was put into it. Here we got Nick and Trila sitting under a tree during a starry night, and I don't know what I was trying to do with that, what kind of filter effect I was using, or the matting I was using on some of the tree bark, but that looks really bad. So here's a pretty cool picture of Fear the Fox. So this was actually from an unaired episode. So, originally when I made these episode concepts, they were just black and white storyboard comics that I upload on DeviantArt and then eventually YouTube. They aren't on there anymore, though, because I just got kind of embarrassed of them. But, so there were 30 episodes altogether, and I think I only got as far as to making, the first 10 episodes in color. And so this was from the episode that would have introduced Beth the Bunny, where the characters go to a mall, and Nick and Trila decide to go on a date, because they realize since they started going on this quest, they haven't really had much time for romance, and so Clunk wants them to have the date to just have a date with each other, rekindle their romance, basically. And so while Clunk is off alone, he meets Beth the Bunny, who he starts falling in love with, and so they start going on a date as well. And there were a lot of funny little gags I had in that episode. So this is from the unreleased version of that. I only redrew some of the first few panels in color. And so here we got like Fear after Gig, the seagull, called him up about like his recent failure with the squirrels he encountered. And here's a picture of Trilo looking upset while Nick looks concerned. And so this is like moments before Clunk decided to offer Nick and Trila just roam around the mall and have a last date or something. And so this was one of the few last images I ever drew of Nick, Clunk, and Trila. And so again, this was a holiday photo from about 2 years ago. So we got Trila kissing Nick on a snowy setting. So another Christmas image I made the exact same year. Trila kissing Nick on a couch, and I think I was trying to, I don't know, like I was trying to see if they look better with like their eyes spread out when because I was wondering if maybe their eyes look better when they're connected or if they're split apart a little bit, and I don't know, I think it looks off when they're split apart. That, and I did a terrible job at drawing the shape for their eyes here, so yeah, I'm just gonna stick with having them have the goofy big connected eyes instead of trying to spread them out. Just looks off. And so last year was the year of the rabbit, and so for some reason, this was the only drawing I made of Nick, Clunk, and Trila. So here, it's just Beth slamming down a door and shouting, "Boom! Year of the rabbit!" Nick and Clunk just stare off. Another one of the last images I drew, just a simple sketch of Nick kind of with his hands on his hips and he's pouting. So here's a picture of Nick and Trila. They're in like a rainy setting, and it looks like Trila's concerned about something. So yeah, I really like how this one turned out. And this is actually the very last image of Nick, Clunk, and Trila I ever drew. And so I just drew this one a few weeks ago, actually. And I just wanted to draw a picture of Nick and Trila dancing with each other. And it looks like there's some kind of disco lights going on in the background. And so although that was the last image of Nick, Clunk, and Trila I drew in quite some time, there are still a few other images. I went back and touched up a few images I did in the past, so that's why they're showing up last on the list, because I have the list sorted out from like oldest to newest, and because these older pictures were edited, that makes them newer technically. And so here's one of the three heroes charging in towards the three villains. So here's Nick fighting off his shadow doppelganger, and so I noticed, like, when looking at the picture, I forgot to add, like, a glowing effect to Shadow Nick's eyes, and so I went back and kind of fixed that up. I think my only problem with this picture is I think the outlines are a little too thick. I tried using some gray outlines on, like, the fingers or the limbs and all that, and I just think it was way too thick. I should have made it thinner. It looks too distracting. So here's a kind of funny image. Once again, I edited it because I realized I forgot to add a glowing effect, so I quickly just did a quick little edit to add it in there. So Clunk is like fighting an oversized, fuzzy-looking Darksin, and I just love the face I gave Clunk right there. Just pretty funny pose and reaction. So here's an image of Nick and Trila standing on a rock, and it's like they're celebrating like they conquered some kind of adventure. Like they made it somewhere that they were traveling far for. And so I edited this one because I noticed when looking at this picture, dang it, I forgot to draw Nick's tail. And so I drew it in. I just did that today, in fact. I think this is the last image I edited. So there's this picture where Trila and Clunk are standing in the rain, and Clunk's kind of shrugging while Trila looks annoyed. And so I had the rain going on in the background, but I forgot to add raindrops in the foreground. So, you know, like when things are raining, rain doesn't just happen behind someone. It goes all around them. And so I realized not only should I add an extra layer of rain, but I didn't even bother adding any rain effects. So I tried using this little brush I found on Clip Studio Paint where you can draw on dripping raindrops. And so I tried using those, and I blurred them a bit to make them look less pixelated. And overall, yeah, I think this looks like an improvement compared to what it used to be. A picture from the original Scrap Pilot episode. So this was the introduction to the characters. They're playing a video game, and so the artwork here looks really crude. So I tried having the characters have more split apart eyes, and over time I thought it just looks better when they're connected next to each other. So this was a picture from the episode that introduced Giggle the Seagull. I tried experimenting, wondering if the characters would look better without an outline on their pupils, and in the end, I decided, I think it looks better with the outlines. Once again, from the same episode, more pictures of Giggle. He has some really funny reaction images. Trila just being a troll. And then Trila faking that she's terrified of him. And then she sends a call for help to Nick and Clunk. Clunk's face here kind of cracks me up. And that's the last image I have to show. So, wow, this was a really long set of videos, split up into 3 parts. But, yeah, it was kind of fun to go back and look back at all these pictures. And it wasn't all pleasant, though, because there are a lot of things from this series that I was really embarrassed of. And this series never got the kind of views I was hoping it would get. And so it's not always too pleasant for me to look back on. To me, Nick, Clunk, and Trila, it's an idea I really wanted to have happen, but it was just a failure. Nobody really saw it. I do appreciate it, though. I do know there are, in fact, people out there who did see this, and they liked it. And I already got one response so far that they were sad to hear that I took all the episodes down. And I really appreciate it, but I'm sorry. It's just these videos are just hogging up my YouTube page, basically, and no one was bothering watching them, and so what's the point in having videos around if no one's gonna bother watching it? They were really flawed anyways. They just weren't good forms of storytelling. They had way too many plot holes. It just felt way too rushed, and if I ever had the chance, I'd want to put more thought into it. And the problem was back then I felt pressured into wanting to get this out as quick as possible. I just wanted people to notice it. And the problem was I was rushing it, and that was a huge mistake. And so I don't know if I ever will get a chance to try starting over. For right now, if I ever go back to making drawings of these characters, it'll probably just be more concept art, just drawing the characters for fun. I don't know, like one fun idea I have is maybe take some screenshots from old Disney movies or other video games and try drawing the characters in place of certain scenes, just to kind of give like a cool what-if scenario. Maybe that's something I'll try doing in the future, I don't know. But for right now, Nick, Clunk, and Trila, or Super Squirrels, as I might rename it, it's just concept that probably won't ever happen, but I really hope it will happen someday. Anyways, thank you all for watching. See you next time, and have a great day.